Fantastic. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. So I am just going to take a few minutes. I just want to say that this past weekend, we kicked off the round 2 of public input workshops for the Lewisboro Comprehensive Plan update. We had the Golden's Bridge and Cross River Hamlet workshops. And I want to thank everyone who attended and the Nelson Pope Voorhees team for facilitating. I want to thank the steering committee volunteers for welcoming everyone, and also Country Children's Center, their team, for providing the childcare. I also want to thank the community outreach team volunteers for their continued help in making the public outreach for this process as wide-reaching and inclusive as possible. They've really done a fantastic job spreading the word. So before we start tonight's meeting, I just want to remind everyone of something that I have said here and have said directly to the town board before, that it's our job as the steering committee to continually evaluate the process that we're currently undergoing to update Lewisboro's comprehensive plan. And really, one of the things we need to evaluate is we need to answer 2 questions. One, are we doing everything we can to reach the Lewisboro community, let them know about the events, and communicate the importance of their engagement in this process? And 2, are we doing so within the project budget? So we can control the answer to those 2 questions, but we can't control the outcome, which is the number of people who participate. So just want to put that in everybody's head as we kick things off tonight. So with that, I think we'll move to our first agenda item, which is just reviewing the current status of our, let me just make sure we're good here. Yes, of our public outreach and engagement plan, public outreach and advertising plan, rather, I should say. Okay, so let me share my screen here. Great. This is the agenda. And let me just bring up the advertising plan. Okay, so I'm just going to walk through this quickly. I know we've all seen it, but figured it's a good time just to look at it again and answer any questions. So we have for this round, just like we did for the first round, we have 2 phases of outreach and advertising. The first phase was the Save the Date phase, and that happened in early April. And I'll call these all our baseline methods. And I'm going to skip them because we repeated them all in phase 2, which started in late April and is still ongoing now. So all of these up top are the baseline methods that we did in phase 1. And we've built on them, done more in phase 2. A couple things I just want to call attention to. So our constant contact mailing list, just a reminder, that has over 600 people. Actually, I think we're a little closer to 700 right now. It's people that signed up that said, hey, I'm interested in hearing more and being involved when we sent out the participation survey back in the fall. It's also a stakeholders list. It includes fire, LVAC, parent-teacher organizations, civic organizations in Lewisboro, business owners, everybody we could scrape contact information from publicly available sources on the web. So that's how that mailing list got to be almost 700 people. Let's see. So for phase 2, we've also added a post, a reoccurring notice on the town cable channel, dedicated email blasts from the town clerk, Parks and Rec. We had the library program on April 22nd and April 26th. Thank you so much to Charlene and to John for running that program. We got really positive feedback from the folks that attended. And from the library itself. They were really happy to host that informational program about the comprehensive plan. John is working on seniors programming for the senior adult group here in Lewisboro. That's going to be happening on May 31st. More on that later. We also have already sent additional direct emails, so not our constant contact email list, actual BCC, but personal emails to business owners, to all the parent-teacher organizations, and Supervisor Tony Gonsalves sat down with the superintendent of the school district, and they talked through ways that they could let folks in the school district know about these meetings. And so the superintendent actually sent an invitation to these meetings to everybody who works in the school district, since this process is open to folks who work and live in Lewisboro. We also sent additional direct emails to the firehouses and to Volunteer Ambulance Corps. I've also been in touch with either actually editors, and in one case, a reporter from the Record Review and the Katona-Lewisboro Times on their continuing coverage. So that's all the stuff that I was working on with Kirsten's help. And then we have our outreach teams who are doing electronic flyer distribution, social media, emailing their personal contacts. They've also put up flyers around town. And there are a lot of flyers, businesses across the hamlets. If you're out doing errands, you will definitely see these flyers up at the local businesses. We've got really good coverage there. We also had some 18 by 24 big posters, some of them laminated. We got those donated. And those are going to be those are posted in firehouses, LVAC, town parks, town buildings, and the library. And we also had lawn signs. Those were partially donated. The tab for the town ended up being only $80. And you will see those all around town. You will also see them at parks, town buildings. Notably, there's the playground opening, the playground ribbon cutting, and big festivities happening at the Lewisboro Town Park next weekend. So there are lots of lawn signs there and posters on all the available boards in that park. So yeah, that's some really good advertising. Some other items that the town board, particularly the supervisor, was able to help us out with, the Notify Lewisboro call. It wasn't call, it was text alert system. That notice went out on May 8th and got to almost 900 people, sending them to our website for more information. We have had direct email contact with the firehouses, and thank you to Larry, who delivered posters to the firehouses as well, so they could put those up inside so the volunteers could see. I already mentioned the school district, and as far as liaising with Parks and Recs, they actually have a little button on the homepage of their website that says, click here for more information about the Lewisboro's comprehensive plan, and it takes you to the flyer advertising our meetings. They've also advertised on their Facebook and their Instagram. And they've gotten posters and lawn signs, and they've put those up themselves as well. And something that is new that I'm really excited about is we have Sawyer, who is currently interning for the town of Lewisboro, listening in on tonight's call. And he and I are going to plan a little social media campaign, something video oriented, moving picture, just something we haven't done to kind of catch people's attention on social media. We don't have a ton of followers. We have 70 followers approximately on Facebook, but the town and Parks and Rec have, I don't know off the top of my head. I know on Instagram they have close to 1,300 between them followers. but I don't know about Facebook. So we will reach a lot more people with that new social media campaign as well. So any questions about that before we move on to the next agenda item? I guess I'll say I'm just really proud of all the work that has gone in here. So the word is getting out. I feel really good about everything we've done. And we've tapped into a lot of networks to try to get ideas about how to do the outreach and within the project budget. So kudos to everybody involved. It would not be possible without all the volunteers and all of you. So thank you so much. Any questions? Okay, so let's switch back to our agenda. Okay, so I'm gonna turn it over to Charlene, and is Mark here? I know he was traveling, so he might not have joined yet. So Charlene and Mark were the volunteers from the steering committee who were manning the welcome table at the events this weekend. So I just want to point out, let's see, so for the total day, we had 20 people. And again, I just want to say, like, we're happy that people are coming and we can focus on the process, can't focus on the outcome of who actually shows up. I think we definitely want to keep our momentum going. That number does put us on track once we're through the 3 Saturdays of Hamlet workshops, the Sunday evening of town-wide workshop. As far as in-person goes, we also have the survey online, which is live now. That does put us on track for getting about the same in-person participation, which was 120 for the first round. But obviously we want more. So we'll just keep at it. But I'd love to hear from Charlene just how the day went and how folks who participated received it.
Well, I'm going to focus on how the participants looked at it. I mean, they were there when they came in, they didn't come out for a long time. So obviously they were involved. Valerie, I'm sure she was very good. I was outside, so I only got them on the way out, and I did ask questions. One thing I forgot to mention, Katie, is that the guy from the Record Review was there, and he was, taking statements from people or remarks. So we may see something, which is good. What I got from people coming back, actually, Dan and Tony were there for a long time, and they went in, we talked for a long time, and then they went in, and we were supposed to sort of stop at 12:30, but Mark was very nice because I was coming back in the afternoon. He stayed till they left, which is 1:15. So Valerie had a very short lunch, so they stayed. And people that were coming out, one thing that if we can make clearer would be very helpful, and that's that it is not a presentation, that you go in and you give your input, and that it would be good to, read, there's handouts, and it will help you get your thoughts on the maps and recorded. Everybody was sort of very impressed with it. They thought it was very helpful. All of them had the same sort of statements that everybody needs recreation. They want to have it the same, but they understand there's differences. One guy, I know how hard, a lot of them were the outreach people, and they worked hard, and they tried to drag people in. I mean, I was teasing them and say, if you see anybody in a lot, just tell them to come in. But I had the same problem with my neighbors. Out of the neighbors that I asked to come, one did come. The others, they sort of, I reminded them that they sort of like were cleaning their outdoor furniture. I mean, people have stuff to do, so, and so then I asked them just to read things. So I guess it was the engagement portion, and I read the notes that they put on the map, etc. And it's pretty much the same. It's like they want to keep the rural community. They're afraid, from what I gathered, about density. Not so much about affordable housing, but about density. Because the population is pretty much the same that it was for more than 20 years. An interest in senior citizens, and a big interest, and I heard it from more than one person, enforcement. Like what use is everything if you don't have enforcement? And John, they talked about the tree, a tree that their neighbors they were just cutting down, and but they said they kept calling and there's no enforcement. So everybody agrees that the tree ordinance is great, John, but everyone that I spoke to, and not many, want enforcement. So I think that's going to be a very, very strong recommendation.
Here.
Well, thanks for this summary, Charlene. And I think that's in line with the content of the goals and objectives. So
yeah,
the note I got from Valerie over email was that everyone was very supportive of the goals and objectives as they are proposed, and some had more, they were more interested than others, but overall everyone was really supportive of what has been drafted so far.
And there was one comment that I think, and I mentioned that they should look at John's video, the process, because 3 people asked me, well, when is there going to be town participation? There should be like, just a group of people, a group of town people. They can say what I said. Well, truthfully, there is going to be, because there's going to be public hearings when a draft comes out, but you're going to need some context to make comments on. And the draft will be the context, and then you can all go and say your mind. But before that, you really can't. In the sense you have nothing to comment on unless you just sort of have gripes or visions, but you have no context. So that's
maybe so a couple things we should, and Sawyer, if you're listening, please take notes on this. A couple things we should try to highlight in the social media campaign is that it's not a presentation, it's open house, drop in at your convenience. And if you want more information about the process itself, and that this is round 2 of public input, but there's round 3, which will be later this year or early next year. All that information is on our website. And we do have the introductory video that we have a nice link to on our website. The website, if you haven't looked at it, it's so much more clear now where all the different pieces of information live. So I'm just hoping if we can get people to the website, then a lot of their questions can be answered there. So we'll try to make that happen with the social media campaign. Okay, well, thank you so much. We are going to come back to, in a few minutes, volunteers for the next weekends. Before we do that, John, do you have any questions, or do you need help from the group for anything for your upcoming presentation to the senior adult group?
No, I'm going to let Eileen do it. Eileen told me she's going to zoom them up. She's going to fire them up.
That's great.
And, I think Eileen can do it. I will be there to make sure we're on the things are accurate, or if there's any questions that come up. But I know Eileen pretty well, so she gets fired up. She gets fired up. So
that's great. That's great.
And we have a lot of material from the library pitch. And I've given it to her to look at. So we'll have a couple of Zooms between now and then to, I'll I'll see if she fires me up.
That's great. That's great. And just so if everybody will remember, so that this action item and Eileen volunteering to take the lead came out of the brainstorming session that we had with the outreach teams. We just got together in March and just threw a bunch of ideas on paper and said, who wants to do it? And she raised her hand and said, I will. So that's really great. Thank you. And I know that Valerie is working on scheduling a follow-up meeting from that, a focus group with the senior adults group, just to make sure that we're tapping into that group of people that is already meeting on a regular basis through the town, and who might be underrepresented in the process otherwise, if they have trouble making it to the in-person or trouble taking the online virtual survey. Okay, so just a reminder, there is going to be a joint meeting as part of the town board meeting on June 12th for the town board, planning board, ZBA, ACARC, and CAC. And you received an invite from Valerie, and then Tony followed up, and you're welcome to invite all your board members to come as well. And just keep an eye on RSVPs so that if you need to notice it as a gathering of your board that exceeds whatever the quorum, the details. If you need to notice it, you need to notice it. But that will be a great time for the chairs and the boards with their public service and resident hats on to go give feedback on the goals and objectives and have a collaborative discussion with the town board. So that's the purpose of that. And that's over and above the public meetings. You and your members are, and this is everyone on the committee as well, you're still welcome to do the online survey as well.
So John, we're going to do enforcement, right?
I'm going to get, I think I'm going to get a t-shirt and a hat made.
Sounds good. Okay, so speaking of that, kind of, maybe not the smoothest segue, but zoning subcommittee. So we have a behind the scenes, everybody, the steering committee has confirmed they're okay with this. So Valerie asked that we form a subcommittee of the steering committee to deal directly with the zoning recommendations that are going to be starting. Well, there will be separate meetings starting in July on this topic. So just confirming everybody here, that will be the planning board, zoning board, ACARC, and CAC chairs. I'll be there to basically moderate the meeting, keep it running on time, etc. And then the town board liaisons and Charlene as the joint member of the planning board and steering committee. So that's 8 people. Valerie said that's pretty much the most that she would recommend. So any questions about that? Okay. All right, moving on. Okay, let's go to the volunteer sign.
I'm sorry, I do have a question on that. Do you have any idea what the amount of time or a number of meetings, or you said starting in July? Could you give us a little bit more about how, what you expect of this?
I can definitely get that for you. I don't really have
Perfect.
a good.
Yeah, I don't. I just don't have a sense of how much of my life is going to be on this. No, how much time, weekly meetings, monthly meetings, no idea.
Yeah, I would definitely say monthly would be my guess. Or maybe like a series of 4 meetings and then done, or, something like that. But let me check with Valerie. Kirsten, could you make a note for me of that? That's my homework item. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and I presume that Valerie, with her experience, is going to kind of give us at least some direction, because this thing can go in a lot of different directions.
Oh, yes. And she and her team have already been working on based on the feedback from the first meeting, based on putting together the draft goals and objectives, they kind of have an idea. And when I say first meeting, I'm also lumping in the first round of public input, including all the meetings they had with the various boards and councils. Yeah, they kind of have some ideas of the directions they want to go. And I think it's also kind of going to be a menu of options, like 1, 2, 3, what do you guys feel more comfortable with? She'll be guiding us 100% of the way.
One of the things I think we should have as a starting point is we should get, I assume the town has this, is all the things that went to the ZBA over some period of time, because that will kind of give us a sense of where zoning has been appealed, and it might give us a sense of some of the things we ought to look at more carefully.
Duff, do you happen to know if that is something that Valerie has gotten access to through your board or through your administrator, maybe?
Exactly what were you asking for?
A record of appeals, basically, to kind of show where the code, which parts of the code are most appealed and how often.
When we met with her a couple of months ago, maybe 3 or 4 months ago now, and we talked about that, and she was going to do that, but I don't know if she got it done or not.
Okay, but it
She's working on it.
was at her court to do.
Yeah.
Oh, Kirsten's raising her hand. She probably knows.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for you, but I do have a suggestion with our high school intern, perhaps during his time with the zoning board, he could compile that list, and whether it's special use permits, area variances, setbacks. Could be a good use of time. Sorry, Sawyer.
No, that's a great idea. If it hasn't already been done, then I think that would be a good use of time. Charlene, what's your question or comment?
Comment is also, it would be good to know in what neighborhoods, what zoning areas it's done, because if you have one area that has just asked for innumerable area variances or use variances, you'd want to know that, because then the general zoning may not be correct, or should be tweaked a little bit, or things should be allowed in it. It's sort of like, so it's not only what special permits, it's where the special permits have been requested, and you could see sort of the deviation, and young people know how to do that really well. They can do charts and original dialogue of many things. So Sawyer, we're all depending on you.
No pressure. Okay, but that's a very good follow-up action item to go in the grid. Okay, let's look quickly at the, oh, sorry, did I miss anybody? Any other questions about that? Rose?
Just muted myself again. No, I was just going to say that about before these meetings, 2 questions. Is that preparation? And so that zoning information would be really important. Any special things that we need to read up on as far as zoning in the town board? Should we have that as a background? And the second thing is, if it is the summer, if any of us are not available for a meeting, can someone from our group come and represent us?
Mm-hmm. To the latter, I don't see why not.
Okay.
Does anybody have any other feelings about that? Okay, and it's all going to be over Zoom, so that'll make scheduling a little bit easier too.
Okay.
But yes, if you can't come as a chair, then someone else can come in and represent you.
Okay.
Homework assignments ahead of time. Let's put that on the list of items to ask Valerie too, like what she would suggest we familiarize ourselves with ahead of time. Thank you. Okay, anybody else? Jan?
Yeah, I assume what she's going to give us is some draft zoning changes in various areas. So I think, maybe I'm wrong about how this goes, but I think the thing we would need to do is kind of read through that and think about it with our perspectives of what we've seen come up in front of each of our boards. So the homework might be a lot of thinking about the proposals that they bring us, or the proposed code changes or new code that we would get to look at. That's
Yeah.
okay.
I think that sounds right. That's the gist of what I gathered from her so far. But clearly, I need to. She's been preparing for these workshops and focused on that. So I will grab some time with her and make sure that we can make it clear to everybody. Charlene? Oh, you're on mute.
Based on previous comp plans that I've worked on, what happens is, because you don't have a draft yet that's actually, passed, what it is a total cleanup of the zoning. And also, like, anything that would, if you have too many area variances in one area, and suggestions on how to, so it's not, big changes are not dropped in. It's really cleaning it up, taking out the extra stuff, making it more cohesive, because the reason the zoning code sometimes is very choppy is because it's done by the town board at the times that they change it. And so you never really have any continuity. So it's not going to be a lot of changes that we have to look at.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Deep changes. It's just like sort of just making it easier, process changes.
Mm-hmm. That's helpful. Thank you. Okay. So I'm going to move to touching base on volunteers for the next workshops. You'll see we have a range. It ranges between 4 and 3 people signed up. So I'm not sure. I'm wondering if maybe if they're like Larry, for example, you're signed up for all the remaining sessions. If there's one that feels like one or two that feel like they're a better fit for you than another, I think we could like same with Charlene, because you just did one. Like, I think we could probably slim down that doesn't have to be all four volunteers there to man the welcome station at once. So does anybody want to amend anything on here? Let me see if I can make it all fit.
Yeah, Katie, if you could take me off for the afternoon of June 10th, I would free up some of my time. Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would, based on the number of people, I would like to opt out of May 20th.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think we need to overdo it. And okay, so we've got 3 for Saturday, this coming Saturday, rather. That's perfect. And then for Saturday, June 30th, the morning we've got 3, afternoon we've got 4. Is that okay with you, John and Rose? Oh, and you're doing Sunday evening as well. Maybe one of you want to take one or the other. So we only have 3 per session. If you're good with it as it is, that works too. Okay, cool. Then that's great. So this coming weekend, May 20th, is South Salem and Walkabuck Hamlets. And thanks in advance. Kirsten will be there, and Sawyer and Larry. And I'm on call. You give me a text or a call if you need anything at all. And the John will be working childcare actually for all the remaining meetings. The Saturday, June 10th, he'll be there too. And he and I have each other's cell phone number. Okay, hi, Dan, nice to see you. Let me see where we are with our agenda. Okay, we need to approve, or any questions about staffing for the upcoming meetings? Okay, so let's go ahead. I motion to approve the minutes from our March 20th meeting as sent to the group prior to today.
Second,
Okay, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay, everybody. And then the next set of minutes, I motion to approve the minutes from April 17th meeting that were emailed around to everybody. John seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All okay. Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring up the agenda again. So our next committee, we've got our committee dates. We're not going to have a steering committee meeting in June, but we will reconvene in July, on July 17th, and I will get you more information over email about the zoning subcommittee and preparations needed, information needed ahead of time, dates, what to expect, etc. And in Dan, just for your information, the zoning subcommittee, we have you and Andrea on that as well as town board liaisons. That and I can send an email about this so that Andrea is in the loop as well. Okay, so just to be efficient with time, let's just look at open action items. So again, thank you so much to Charlene and John for the library programming. John is all set for May 31st for the senior adults presentation. And for all another reminder for all the chairs and board members, town board members, everyone's encouraged to take the online survey. And let's see. Okay, I think that's it. And then we added a couple action items tonight that Kirsten was keeping track of. All right, well, we have 10 more minutes in our scheduled meeting time. So I'll just stop sharing the screen. Does anybody have any lingering questions or thoughts? Dan, I know you joined late. If you want to stick around for a few minutes after we close the meeting, I can fill you in on what you missed if you want. Charlene?
Dan, how did you find it? Because you were there a good while.
Oh, you're on mute, Dan.
I guess, it was fairly subdued, but the people who came were all, very kind of serious about it and all, eager that their neighbors should be taking this up. And, but it's clear that, like every activity, it's just, a challenge to get people to a certain place at a certain time with all the competing things out there. So I think this is good. And then we should, also just as we come to the close, be promoting the online version, to keep some options open for people, but it seems to have worked fine.
Yeah, that's great to hear. Totally agree. I opened with my caveat that you've heard me say before, that we can control the process and make sure we're doing everything we can to let everybody know, but we can't control who actually shows up. Yes, the online survey, I think it's a really great solution because, schedules are tough and everybody who was there who wants their neighbors to participate, the survey is a great option. And yeah, maybe momentum will build. Maybe word will get out that it was a good meeting, and we've got this weekend and the 10th and the 11th still to go. So yeah.
We did hear while I was there that, the old comment, like I was expecting something different, or a meeting or presentation, or it would have been good to have a presentation, or anything but what it was. So I'm not sure, what you could do about that. You guys had plenty of, lead up presentations and introductions and things like that, but, that was out there.
Mhm. Yeah. I think we can highlight in the social media campaign that Sawyer, the town of Lewisboro intern is going to be working on. We can highlight that it's not a presentation, that it's an open house. Yeah,
And
it's
maybe,
tough.
and maybe sort of, especially how it fits into the whole thing, how it serves to construct the draft, as a framework, at which point, there'll be even deeper dives and people can, there'll be more sort of what people I think were sort of expecting, where they can see concrete things and respond to them and things like that.
More concrete than just the draft goals and objectives.
Yes, I think, something that looks more like the plan will start to mean
Priorities.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, the messaging is really tricky. There's just so much, even just about the series of meetings and the different ones and the survey, and that there's childcare and that there's also translation. There's just so much information to communicate. So it's tough. It's tough to grab attention and communicate everything we need to communicate. So
Yeah.
always open to continuing to improve. I'm really proud of what we've done so far, but yeah, we can always continue to get better as the process goes on.
Yep.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Well, help spread the word. Meetings. Or sorry, I should use the word workshops. Be consistent about that. Workshops, online survey. Our website just has so much information. Our Facebook page takes you directly to the website. See what we can do with the social media campaign. Keep an eye out for flyers around town. You can always put up more flyers if you feel like there's a spot one is missing. Yeah, that's what we can do. So thanks everybody for your time tonight and for your continued involvement in the process. We're still going strong. It really has been 2 years, over 2 years. I know that was a topic of debate leading up to the last meeting. It feels maybe like less or more, but it's been 2 years and we're still going. So thank you again to everybody. Your contributions are really significant.
Thank you, Katie.
Almost near the home stretch here.
We're close. We are.
Coming
Questions
to the
or is that waving? Okay, waving. All right. Thank you so much. I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
Okay, great. We'll see everybody soon. Thank you so much.
Night.
Thanks to everyone listening on YouTube. Appreciate it.